Actually, one of them got me into this film. It's the picture of five guys standing like this. Three images. I remember the girl in Vietnam burning, and she's coming running. The other one about the vulture sitting next to the black child, which is now, I understand, the photographer killed himself. And the third one is a picture in the Philippines of about five guys standing like this, which looks like a Varga pose. And they've actually all had incisions because their kidneys have been taken to insurance companies that have come and bought them out there. And that disturbed me first because I thought it's like some gay thing with five guys posing like this. And when I looked at the photograph, they're all five guys standing with incisions because they just had their kidney sold. So that one always got. And what creeped me out even more, in this one it's nice that they have the word shedding, because whenever you use nice words, people forget how screwed up a particular thing is. But in that particular case, they call it now harvesting, as if like, my piece of corn is growing near your liver. Let me get that. So I just didn't like the nomenclature. I didn't like anything about it, and it creeped me out. So when I got the script, and I just said, it is going there. Maybe not in my generation or towards the end of the generation. This is going there. I'd say almost everything that's around you shapes you. Your character is genotype plus environment. The debate is how much gene and how much environment. Nothing else. I'm not a believer in reincarnation. Been an atheist since I was 9 years old. So none of those. So everything around you shapes you. So where you break your leg, at what particular age your parents separate, who molests you, who you end up doing what with, having a car accident. That is what makes your character. So if around you you're seeing starving children and you're hungry and your mom gives you food and you start eating it, after some time you stop ignoring it until a friend from abroad comes and says like, how come you can eat out here because there's all these children, and you go like, fuck, you're right. But no, everything, no matter how evil and dreadful, becomes banal when it becomes a question of survival and daily routine.
What happened at age 9 that made you an atheist?
Nothing. Just that I wish there was one thing. Like when I say I think I'd gone to a Muslim school, a Hindi school, a Christian school, and by the time and a Punjabi school, by the time I went there, I'd been through everything where, you eat pork and you're damned, or the other ones you can eat pork, it's fine, but don't touch a cow and all that. By the time I just started lovely kid stories. Just after that particular time, whenever people tell me, I think if it's one event that makes you an atheist, one event will make you a believer. It just wasn't it. I just couldn't fathom a universe in which I could allow the blame to go on to somebody above the cloud. I just said, no, what we're doing, this is it.
Sorry, switching tracks a little bit. I noticed you used Donald Trump's apartment
in
the movie.
Yes.
I saw the gilded gold. I was like, that's Trump's apartment.
Oh, no.
So what was that? How did that come about?
Well, I had 3 other apartments and they fell out. And those 3 apartments, in different ways they fell out. When I went to those 3 apartments, the one creepy, very, very strange question that was asked to me by the people who owned the first. I was surprised that all of them love to tell you how much they paid for the apartment. Means like how much more they paid than their neighbor. Like usually when you go to a place, people like to tell you how much they got a deal in their apartment. This was no, I paid 3 times more than that guy. So that was a calling card. The second thing was they were talking to those particular people. They were like, 2 of them asked me the question blatantly, and the third person question was different. They asked the same question. They said, what is this movie about? And I said, oh, Sir Ben, dying old man. These are very old people, you have to understand. Very rich people and very old. And I said, dying, and then he finds another way to transfer his body, his consciousness to the other part. He said, oh, okay. Is that possible? And I was and all of that was a very creepy question.
Yeah.
And it was from everybody. And those were 3 people's houses that we saw. In the end, the restrictions were too much. When it came out to Donald Trump's place, my art director went and saw it, and he said, you know what, this looks like Versailles in the sky. And Donald loved that nomenclature. So I said, originally I wanted it to be much more clean, because I wanted an architect with clean architecture. But when I saw this particular house, and so that I sold it to myself, I said, this would be the other side of it. I believe in complete minimalistic or heathenistic. Both are okay for me. It's comme ça that I'm scared about. So when we went out there and we saw it, I said, okay, great. All the things in it, perfect. Donald Trump's house, perfect, and also that the question of basically, it would be like the Shah of Iran if we lived in London. I said, yeah, it would be. It's so beyond tacky that it's okay. It isn't. It looks like gold. It is gold, and then you go, okay, that's not tacky. That's just over the top. So it was literally like Shah of Iran territory, and I just said, okay, Shah of Iran wants a new body.
Now, Mr. Singh, you were labeled as a visionary director. I love all your movies.
I hope visual, yes.
Yeah, because visual and imagery that you guys you have in your movies. So does it come with the pressure of the next movie trying to top, the visuals and imagery? I mean, what's the burden of being a visionary?
Well, for me, I would say visual as opposed to visionary, but yes, the problem was that I only wanted to do one visual film. I ended up doing The Cell before that, then I did The Fall. Then I ended up having a problem that the next one that came along, literally I was saying I want to do My Dinner with Andre. Can you just get me 2 people in a room or some sort of a thriller? And I just, that stuff was not coming my way. And I put a lot of pressure, and then I ended up doing 2 more movies, and suddenly I turned around and I just said I'm in such a hole that anybody who knows my work from commercials and everything that I've done, they know that it's all over the place, and about 6% of it is visual. And on the other hand, the guy who's much more visual than me when we work in the same field is Mark Romanek, and he's done 2 movies that are not visual at all. So he suddenly ended up in a different hole, and I just thought, I'm not interested in this. I love the visual films and I want to do them, but if this is the best case scenario, if I keep doing this, and then in 5 years from now, if I'm still working, I'll just end up getting the scripts that Tim Burton tears and throws out. I said I need to shift it right now. I want to do a thriller. I made that a real mandate that it has to be a non-fantastical thriller. And then this thing came along, and I said I know how to do it. And when I made that, I told them the same thing. I said, if by me saying I don't want it to be fantastical doesn't mean that it will not be cinematic. I mean, Fincher doesn't do monsters, but his stuff is very cinematic. So when I look at that, I just say, no, it needs to be, I'm not going to shoot it with my grandmother's telephone. It's not that type of film. I might do one of those, but no. It's going to be thought out before, and it's going to be shot with that. So the idea was to be cinematic, and because everybody associates realism with being gritty and handheldy, and I just said, yeah, maybe that's the reality of it right now. In a couple of years, those things will date or not date, I don't know. Just because telephones have come along and everybody's a filmmaker, that is the reality that they're used to. And they feel that looks real, and they're right. But I just said it's not that one that I'm interested in. So it was cinematic without being visual, as you said. I wouldn't say visual, but cinematic without being handheld. I don't know what to say.
Thank you for not shaking the camera around.
There's certain stuff that it completely works with, and certain stuff it doesn't. I mean, like United 93, I loved it. Same director, you go on to 3 films later, and I'm just thinking, like, they're just having a cup of tea. Like, stop it. And that is not, if you do that kind of stuff, I believe this cup can win an award. Because you can make anything act. When you kind of put it on stilts and stop, it just separates the men from the boys in 2 minutes because you got nowhere to hide.
Totally different to it?
Yes. So for me, it was reverse engineered. Like I said, I ended up with Ryan first.
Okay.
And then when it came, then I just thought, like, he would be the guy that you would take out an ad for. So you want to live in a man's body that is perfect? Here's Ryan Reynolds. There's a madman had to draw one. I'd say, yeah, I'd buy that for $1. So for me, that's what it was. So Ryan Reynolds is like perfect human specimen, yes. So I'd go there. So on the other hand, does he have to play Ben Kingsley was the problem, because in my problem, I ended up with Ryan Reynolds, the whole movie, and then Ben Kingsley at the end of the shoot. I wanted it the other way around. Then I just thought, I don't even have the choice. So all I was trying to do was give him a few ticks. And we had about 6 or 7 of them. And then in the end, they weren't necessary. Because I just said a lot of the stuff in this particular way, everybody's just making up what it would be like if your brain goes on. But will you have the same accent? I highly doubt it. If you had a lift, would you have a lift when you go into a body that the tongue is not split? Or your teeth are joined? It would stop. So for me, a lot of his muscle memory, a lot of this thing, but certain mannerisms could stay. So I had 6 or 7 things, and in the end, when I looked at them, they just didn't fit in the movie. The one that got left, and 1 or 2 things was, he throws the keys from behind his thing when he enters always into his house, he just does this little nick, and things like that. I said it's okay, but don't try to talk like each other, because it'll become about that. If it became about that, then I said you need to get the 2 actors with me for a month, so that Brian watches Sir Ben and then plays Sir Ben. And this is not theater. You don't get those people at that time. You get them a lot, and you get them reversed around. I didn't want then I had to turn around to Sir Ben and say, right, let's have you act like this guy. So and the only thing I did was gave him the glasses piece, and I just said, the accent, just keep it as neutral as you can. And I believe, like your mouth and everything says things differently.
Now, we spoke with the pastors, and then
To who?
the pastors, the screenwriters,
Right?
and they told us that.
I thought you said the bastards.
So they told me that the design for the mechanics of the body changing guys was not the same that they had in mind when they wrote it. So can you speak about some of the instances that you changed from the script and to create a
that particular incident I didn't care about at all. For me, I just said, if you want to do a movie that's a sci-fi, go 10 years into the future, 15 years into the future, it's no problem, because you just say that. But the problem is I don't have money to make New Orleans look like what it's going to look like 15 years from now. I wanted the questions to be answerable today. with a theme that nobody talks about body parts, but okay, we make it about the brain, and that makes it more interesting of a thriller. So let's look stuff that's around today. Like if it was an independent film, all it would be is a couple of people lying around in a couple of chairs and hammocks, like La Jetée, put a drug in there, and we have the same experience. Now your body's done. That would be fine with me. But the problem is when you spend a certain amount of money and people come to see a certain amount of action or whatever, they require a certain MacGuffin to be believable by their standards. So I didn't know what that's going to be. I said it has to be everything that everybody's seen around today. So it's literally MRI machines, readapted, and with an office that you can move around. I just did it with that. And truly, in the beginning, the answer was when the effects went in, they were thinking like, oh, we don't really believe how quickly that happened. And I said, well, do I have to cut to a guy outside having a burger and then come back 10 minutes later and it happened up to you? And for different cultures, it's a different answer. So I just said, I need to not make fun of the audience, you tell me. And then we just stayed in that scene a little bit longer, and that was it. But for me, that's the least thing I care about. It just says the guy becomes the other guy. I'd rather they both put their thumbs on their phones and ding, and they switch. Like I dream of Genie made me do something like that, and we're done. That was not interesting to me.
Thank you.
You said that you're an atheist, and yet the film, I think, has a profoundly spiritual component. In that
It does.
Character.
Big difference between spiritual and atheist, yes, but
Yeah, no, I just wanted to talk, maybe hear your views on that. The character is undergoing a spiritual journey, a physical journey. He's reincarnating in a sense. He learns more. Was that appealing to you, or was
it was? But just like, I don't believe that people who keep saying they're an atheist are always the biggest believers, like my wife likes to say, because she's really religious. And I think I do Bertrand Russell's example of, when he says if that logic were true, then the Pope is the biggest atheist because he keeps saying he believes in God. So for me, no, it wasn't a question of that. Just thematically that interested me. That there's a guy who missed a chance the first time completely. And he actually gets a second chance, and then he's asked at a very particular point to make a sacrifice, and he actually would have never made it as a previous person. But he actually got to see, which right now I've just had a baby, and just, when it's time to pass the baton, it's time to pass the baton. You do anything. But if I didn't live with my wife and wasn't around my baby, I don't think I would be anywhere near as close to my wife as now the last 3-4 weeks when I go back. I've been the worst waker-upper in the world. I don't like to wake up in the morning, but all she does is this thing, and I'm sleeping, and I just see this, and I wake up to this thing. And I'm like, what do you want? And it just has no logic, and just you become that thing. So for me, that's what interested me, that different paths are chosen, you become different people in life. A particular accident happens to you, like I said, a particular thing happens to you, you go crazy, your hair go white, or you lose your hair, and that's what was critical to you. You become a different person, your environment, and he just is in a new environment, and he becomes a different person. The same mind becomes a different person.
I asked the brothers earlier if they could switch
The
with
bastards,
somebody.
yeah.
If they could switch with somebody, who would they want to switch with? Would you want to switch with anybody?
At this particular age, no,
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'm absolutely fine. Would I do it? I'd say ask me the question when I'm like 70, 80. I'm sure. I don't think it would be anything specific. I think anybody that isn't carrying their piss around in a catheter at that age where I'll be fine with. I'm just thinking if you get that right now, I would say no, I wouldn't like to do it. But people say that about plastic surgery when they're really young, and then you see them at a particular age and things happen differently. Somebody leaves you and you think like, my sister is going around saying like, maybe my husband does like bigger breasts and blah blah blah. Same people who make fun of it, it's a change. So for me, I look at that and just say that right now my question is no, my answer is no, but I can't answer to you as an 80-year-old guy. If I'm there and I've got a grandson, I've only spent like 2 days with them, I'm thinking like I'd like to spend a few more weeks with him. Somebody tells me this is the thing we grew in a lab, would I make it for sure? Even if I knew that they were lying, I'd probably say, yeah, whatever, don't tell me. So I would make those questions. I'd say, would I pick the person I want to be? No, I like the randomness of the universe. I wouldn't like to end up as Marilyn Monroe or anything like that. Let it be random. Most probably will just be a farmer in China. That is the probability. That's the biggest thing that can happen in reincarnation.
May I ask
All right,
thank
guys,
you for...
thank you so much. That's all the time we
Last
I have one
question.
thing, clarification. Did
These
you
guys
say-
never got to open their mouth to you guys. What happened to you?
Understand you correctly that you're a recent father? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
10 months old.
10 months old. A boy or girl?
Boy, she's Chinese, I'm Indian. We both wanted girl because all Indians and Chinese want boys. And of course, if there is a God, he was blessed because he gave us a good boy.
And what was his
We
name?
want a girl. What's his name? Ansel Singh.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.